Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Mr. McLean. Morning, Mr. Watts. You can call me Roger. Quite a common name, McLean, so I suppose no relation to the famous author Alistair Hay.
No, not at all.
Pity. I actually met him. You're not going to believe this. I met him in Greece as a kid many years ago. Happened to be on the beach, sort of like a beach bar restaurant as a kid. Obviously, I would drink as a kid, and actually met him there. He happened to be there, so it's quite a claim to fame. But read most of his books. Don't know if you have, but pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I have read some of his books.
Yeah, Guns of Navarone and HMS Ulysses.
Yeah,
a few of them.
yeah, when I was a lot younger. Don't do much.
Yeah. Scottish author. Yeah, that's
Okay. Good morning, Roger. This is Anne-Marie. Can I ask you something?
You may indeed. You may indeed.
Reading your letter WhatsApp that you sent this morning, I often wonder about the Kospi index. Why is it never mentioned, or is it not? Is it not?
It's not that important. The Kospi is the South Korean, for those who don't know.
Yes.
It's not that big a deal.
Okay.
I'll give an example how the big deals go. I would say literally about 70% is America. So 30% the rest make up. And Japan, China, Europe, pound, that sort of thing are even more important than Kospi. And that's why it's not really mentioned.
And the stocks index?
Which stocks? STOX index. It's quite important in Europe, but it's not that important as far as we're concerned, affecting ourselves over here. I want to give you an example. NASCAR, you probably heard of, went to a company called Prosus to made it to release some capital overseas in the Euronext. Okay, that's one of the stocks index, and that's a massive, by South African standards, one of the best investments ever made in 10 cents, and it became a very big tech company. But then you put it against the Googles and the Microsofts, it's peanuts, and yet they're the biggest company in Europe. I just want to get making that point to understand the overwhelming power those tech guys have, and that's the part that worries me. I don't mind having a lot of money, good luck to them, but the power that goes with it is the worry, and that's where the hassle is coming in. It's because they own so much of what I call the information source, and then etc., which is so utterly dominant. And the Facebooks, Instagrams, all that information comes through. They own our thinking, they own our culture, and that's why I go on about it a little bit. So you've got to be very aware of it, because they're making us clones of what their narrative is. So going back to the original, it's not that big a deal as far as our trading man's concerned. And if you notice, our shares are completely dominant on US anyway. I haven't even searched for a non-US share, personally speaking. I might have them on there, I don't know. But it's not really less to worry about, put it that way, okay, Anna-Marie?
Okay, I take it it's not worthwhile to trade or to look at it for a trade.
Well, we're not sure we have the index in the Kospi anyway. I've never checked it. We'll check in a second if you like. But why do that? I mean, your hands are full enough with the NAS, the S&P, and the Dow, and remember, all of them follow them anyway. So go do the Hang Seng or the FTSE or the GR30 or the Capital 30 or the IBEX. That's the Spanish one you can. But they tend to follow the Americans anyway. It would say, why go out with the guy in drag? Go out with the real thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the real thing, the American one.
I mean, I read it every morning, and I just wanted to know, why is it mentioned, if it's not so important. Also, the DJIA is also mentioned, and unfortunately I didn't have time to Google it to see what it is. Can you tell me what is the DJIA index?
That's just based the Dow Jones index.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's another one actually you can ask about that, something called the Russell 2000. Now, in this country, the penny shares have nothing really to worry about. In fact, a lot of them are starting to pull out of the stock exchange because they're so thinly traded. It costs them a lot of money to be on there. They think it's not worth their value. Because being on the stock exchange means they are the secondary trading option, which means they can trade between them, and that can, have an effect on their wealth, if you like. As a result, it's a lot of them pulling out because there's no point behind it. Well, the Russell on the America one is an index of the smaller companies, and that's quite well traded. But again, it's not really worth it because you've got enough in your plate which are better anyway. Why add to it? It's adding more detail, which is unnecessary. As I say, if you've got 50 to play with, you don't need 100. It'll just confuse the issue anyway, and they don't really add that much value. What we got is good enough.
Okay, thank you. It was just me being inquisitive.
No, that's what you need to be. That's what you need to be. You have to be that way. I quite agree. You see, what the problem is, Anna Marie and everyone else, is there's too many guys coming in this because they're not interested in the vehicle, they're only interested in the result. But you can't get a result unless you're interested in the vehicle. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's no good saying I'm good at table tennis or ping pong, but there's more money in football, so I'll take up football. Because you've got to be interested in football to make a go of it. And the fact you're asking these questions and it's getting a bigger knowledge area, you can be more circumspect in your decisions and you can learn more and you'll just be better at it. So it's absolutely, I often ask any question, guys, that's what I'm here for. If I don't know, I'll say so. I'll put my hand and say so. I'm not going to try and bullshit my way out of it just to make me look clever or because I'm too embarrassed to say I don't know. I'll admit it. And maybe Jethro knows or maybe someone will Google it and answer, or Farney might know, or whatever. So that's why we do shared ideas. You might laugh at this, Anne-Marie. The guys might not laugh at this, but as a lady I knew quite well, and she says, what drives me insane about men is their damn egos. And unfortunately, men have these egos. And I'm trying to control that ego and say we're working together as a team. My ego is not really what it's about. It's about us learning together so we can win together, if you see what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. It's like you men don't like to ask for directions when you lose your way.
That's exactly it. Yeah. I'm sure my testosterone must be on the low side because I'm lost and I haven't got a GPS. Before the days of GPS, I am certainly not scared to ask rather than driving around in decreasing circles. But yeah, I hear it's a standing joke. Or there's another one now on that subject. You can always tell a guy who's 40 years above. He slopped on the couch with the remote in his hand. That's another lady's joke I heard about. So there you are, guys. If you're sitting there with a remote in your hand, you're over 40, feel embarrassed.
Thanks, Roger.
That's another way of putting it, Jethro. Yeah, anything's worth trading, but choose your favorites. If you have a specific, you might say, I like the Japanese market, and I'm only going to trade the Japanese. A lot of guys do that. They'll set the alarm to go off at 1 o'clock in the morning to get themselves nice and ready to do that. It works for them, or the German 30 or whatever. I've mentioned this before. There's very, very, very clever people out there with hordes of degrees that specialize in one area, like the S&P. There's people who will do nothing else their whole life. That's all they trade is that one index, and they become complete understand experts. And that's not a bad idea, what they say, jack of all trades, master of none. And after a while, you'll play around with. I have to know most of them anyway, part of what I do here. But after a while, you'll find half a dozen or so work for you. You understand them. You understand the ins and outs of them. It's a word called the idiosyncrasy of that particular one, and it's better for you. A good example is, let's say you say, what do you think about the IBEX? Well, I can look at a chart and tell you what I think about it immediately, and I know the IBEX is the Spanish indices, stock exchange index. That's as much as I know. I don't know the individual shares that make it up, its idiosyncrasies, etc. So I don't bother with it. But if you ask about the S&P, I know a bit about it, not just the lines on the chart, but a background, and that's when you can get better at it. You say, yeah, it looks like a buy at these levels, but I'm not going in because the overall area in the background fundamentally is not that powerful. So I might actually rather look for a short in that direction. You get the general idea. I was a few years ago, you told me, but I'm not married now yet. Okay, talking about that today. You've all got the economic calendar. If you haven't, tell me and I'll copy and paste it for you. There's the euro coming out with interest rates. The pounds coming out interest rate decision, and the Swiss franc. So I'm sorry, it's going to be one of those days. We've got a whole of that economic calendar fundies coming out. You've probably checked yourself. Jobless claims. I'll just put that as I'm speaking. Let's have a look. What we got coming out today? BOE, that's Bank of England interest rate decision. SNB, which is the Swiss ones, coming out at 11. 2 o'clock's the English one, or the British one. Sorry, Scots guys, British one. What else? Euros coming out at 3:15 on interest rate. We've got retail sales coming out 3:30. Jobless claims 3:30. Philadelphia manufacturing is quite important at 3:30. Another press conference coming out just before 4 o'clock, and then Lagarde is speaking again tonight at 5:15. It's a whole horde of them. So not to say we can't trade, but we've got to be aware of those problems that might make it a bit hesitant. Okay, I want to start off with the Fed. The Fed did do the 0.5% as expected. That would have been stunned if he didn't, but he didn't. But like I say, spooked the market, did the 0.5%. But we didn't get quite the reaction on the weakening of the dollar and the shooting up of the share prices, because despite that, remember I mentioned yesterday in the afternoon meeting, he might say he's still fairly hawkish on interest rates going forward. And on the Q&A, he said just that. So after a bit of a movement on the dollar, it came back again to a bit of strength. It's not exactly strong like a month or so ago, but it's not as weak as would have been expected. And there was some recovery, some downside on opposite, to recovery on the indices and some of those shares. Just bear that in mind, okay? So he's slightly hawkish going forward because, like I've mentioned, like that record in here, they don't like to go on. They don't want to spook the whole world. But I'm telling you, if you're in the economics, you understand this. This massive debt has been built up over the last God knows how many years, and especially through COVID with ridiculously low interest rates, trying to get people back to work because it's politically good. It's politically suicide to have low employment, to have large unemployment figures. So they're obviously after their own power. So anything to sort that out sounds very good in a human term, but often these things are good on human term. These social things often haven't got the money for. They've got to borrow it. They increase the ballooning debt, and they're kicking the problem down the road. So the major problem overall at the moment, worldwide, is this debt problem. So all these like euphoria things are just fiddling around in the background rather than actually getting that debt thing sorted out. The only way debt sorting is to cut that, I hate to say it, guys, some of your social programs and get people to produce products that people want to buy. And that is what creates tax-paying money, and that's what creates wealth, if you like. Not playing around with interest rates and borrowing money and falsify. Simply put, getting another credit card and borrowing money for that to pay your other credit card because it's maximum and the 3% minimum. That is not the way out of it. That's just increasing the debt until it gets to the stage you cannot pay the interest rate of the debt. Then the loan is called in, and then you're bankrupt. That is what's happening at the moment. And when you get no disrespect, guys, you are far too small to worry about. America is a different ballgame. It'll be an economic catastrophe. And I'm not trying to frighten you, but I've said it myself, but Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, said himself, I'm saying tsunami, I'm going to make it worse. We're on the way to some sort of economic catastrophe because America has debt. They keep saying they close the government, to reach the debt ceiling, to negotiate an increase of it. Who's holding all that debt? The taxpayer's not paid enough. It's many countries, etc., but particularly China. And there's a lot of worries in China's increasing power over America because they're holding that collateral, those bonds. And in the past, this is important, in the past, the state of America, the sovereign debt, the government itself was strong enough to say that's collateral enough. They're getting cute now and saying that's just not enough, not now, but for a couple of years or so now, a few years now, that they want securities and that's the word for collateral on it. So they own a lot of collateral. It's in the United States. So they're getting more and more of a clout. So they might not have the economy in theory of the States, but they're fighting far above their weight, even though they've got a big economy, because they own a lot of that collateral in the States. And a lot of guys are not aware of it. It's not something they want to put out. But I'm saying that's exactly what it is. And when they hold those bonds, they can sell them off reduced rates, which will increase the yields. In other words, the interest that the Americans got to pay, and they've got to buy the short and curlies. So don't forget that. Remember, you talk about terrorist attacks. This is a much more sophisticated attack, if the attack's the right word. Is it doing it through economics? They're holding the collateral. You see what I mean? So there's a lot of those things worried about. And quite frankly, I'm not trying to get political, it's such an emotional thing, but this democratic socialist government seems to be going more and more left with the action of the states is not helping the economic cause. And we don't have to go far to see the problems that these extreme socialist attitudes have, because look at what happened to Russia, what happened to Venezuela. And even in the 60s, the UK, at one stage was in, let's say, lapse, if you can hear that, of becoming a banana republic, because it was going to a nice social program to get votes. But unfortunately, it's got to use borrowed money to fund it. And the same is over here. Remember, the taxpayer, especially in this country, we've got such a small middle class, is not enough. So they've got to get the money elsewhere. So they got to borrow it. Well, the Fed controls the interest rate. It's not the Fed, like I mentioned. It's basically a central bank controlled by a group of half a dozen or so bankers who can actually control of the producing more money, even inflationary, because they can control the interest rate. So all those is fiddling, for want of a better word, at the top, because they know majority of people on the planet, although they need money, are very clueless about how the system works. And they want to keep it that kind of ignorance so they can play you to the heart's content and get away, quite frankly, with bloody murder. So I just want you to be aware of that, because one of the things about being in the system here, which you've got, is you're learning about economy. It affects your lives. I don't give you pro or against money. It affects your lives, you like it or not. And you need to know a little bit about it. And if you can master this, when things go wrong, you have the short sell ability to take advantage of it, which might be the wrong attitude, but you can look after number one at times. So there's a lot of outside areas of importance rather than trying to make a back of a line moving on the chart, if you see what I'm saying. Okay. That's exactly what I'm saying, Jeff. That's exactly what I do. I would say the best way to compare it here, Jethro and guys, is you've got a demo account. If you make a profit, by a magic wand, it's real money and you can pocket it. If you make a loss, you just top up your demo account. It's a win-win situation. That's why I say as a joke, they've got a printing press in the Fed where they churn out more money if they need it. And that's what's happening. And the social programs that they're doing over there and the ridiculous government costs they've got there and all these things. I mean, there's nothing wrong. We want to save the planet. But normally they go to jobs for the boys as well. And, you got people are subsidized to study the mating habits of the cockroach in southern Mongolia, costing a lot of money. But is it practical, if you get my point? Slight exaggeration, that example, but I think you know what I mean. And because, quite frankly, of people's ignorance, they want to keep on a democracy that way. It's become a sales pitch through campaigning. And if you look at the Instagram, the Facebooks, and the news, most of the long discussions, let's be quite honest, are extremely trivial because they want to keep your mind away from the big stuff. I'll give an example like transgender. There's less than 0.001% of the planet transgender. Yet you'd think about half of the discussions time on it. It's a trivial, irrelevant matter to most people on the planet, and there's far bigger issues. But that's far more difficult, and the medicine they have to do something about it is unpalatable to so many, so they just fiddle around and keep your mind off it. And go things like genderism and racism and homosexuality like that. It's all very nice, but it's not solving the bigger core problems. And to do that, they've got to do some nasty things, which might lose them votes. They're unhappy. Which I'm sorry I'm talking a lot, brings back to Eskom, exactly what's going on there. We talk about De Ruyter again. It's not about him. It has nothing to do with the price of eggs. It's again politically controlled, and the medicine needs to sort it out, which can easily be sorted out, needs a virtual dictatorship to do it, because they've got to basically fire, I've heard 60%, but let's be fair and say 50% of them, which will reduce that horrendous bloody salary bills, and then start getting guys in who understand the maintenance and the practical aspects of getting on track. But no, it's a bunch of overpaid pen pushers. Most of them don't need that job anyway, because it's not really serving anything, and politically run on that basis. It's like the swamp in South Africa, in North America, if you get my point. And those things can't be tackled because the guy, whoever's in charge, whoever get now, it's irrelevant. He's either going to be one of the swamp or the South African swamp, or he's going to be his hands tied behind his back. He won't have the power. I give you back an example like Macro, which owned Dion, not making money. So what do? They close Dion. The public service is not making money. It's not their worry. All they do is just throw more money at it under commercial pressure. It's incredible. I mean, Transnet went on that day strike the other day, not just want a pay rise, they would guarantee no job firing. But I'm sorry, you go into business and there's no money in the business goes under and the employees goes with it, except as part of the norm. And this is not just South Africa, it's all over. And that is what's created this horrendous debt and problems overseas. There's too fewer producers and too many taxpayer spenders. And a classic example of that, and couldn't get a better one, is what happened to Greece. It's better to be a dustman, who was obviously to clean the stuff up, I get that, but they were better paid with better sort of medical aids than the guys going out and earning tax to pay the tax to pay for them. Well, that's a recipe of completely the wrong way around. And that's the issue. But no, we're talking about somebody upset because someone's rude to him because he said he was a transgender. I'm sorry about the guy involved. That's anecdotal and fairly trivial in the bigger picture, but they keep it that way for those purposes. So I hope you're all with me on that. Something I had down here actually discussed with you to make you all a little bit aware of it. We want the guys that come to training like Anna Marie there, asking questions, and please think a little bit and stop being played by these enormously powerful corporations to do your thinking for you and keep you in sort of like a mushroom, in the dark and fed on shit, as they say, if you get my point. Anyone, any comments on that? Do you agree, disagree? But that's where it's at. And it's not just me talking, if you disagree with me, it's some far bigger boys than me saying this. And the information's out there, it just means you've got to search for it. Not the headline, which is that's the narrative playing you, if you see what I mean. Okay, so it's a bit of a long soapbox thing, but I think just at least you're all aware of it. Please be careful, think, and stop being played by the media, because that is by far, in my opinion, the biggest danger we have, actually, for quite a long time, not just now. Most wars, etc., are played by guys. A good sales pitch gets you all emotionally worked up and gets you to run off. We talked about the Somme yesterday, Mike. I mean, those guys walking like that, they were played. Horrible thing to say, but they were played. You know what I'm saying? I remember going to Rhodesia when it was Rhodesia, before it became Zimbabwe, and fight this war, etc. And obviously, they probably beat me up, they said so, but that was irrelevant. It was being fought in Whitehall, many, many, many miles of kilometers away, with a power deal there. You know what I'm saying? That's where the real power is. It's not the poacher, it's the guy sitting in bloody Zurich is the real problem. And you've got to cut off the Hydra's head, not just the arm. This is where the problems are. Okay. Yeah, well, I'm done at uni now. I mean, I've been married for over 25 years, 30 years now. But even the university areas, the states now, have no more free speech. If you go against that specific trend, they'll certainly send you a gulag or concentration camp, but you certainly be person non grata. It's pushing for one narrative. I've said this before. I really want to get it through to you. If you haven't heard it before, sorry. If you have heard it before, sorry. But in the United States, this is the trend-setting country of the world. We follow what the states do. 90% of the media, which is not just the mainstream, it's the YouTubes and all these things, the newspapers, the radio stations, the TVs, etc., are controlled by half a dozen people. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. All the entertainment you see, 5 companies that produce it. That's why you go from Netflix to Showmax. It's probably the same thing. The product's the same. It was slightly different words. It's a bit like saying, do you like Lenapain, or do you like aspirin, or do you like, I don't know, Accurate or something like that? It's just the same product with a different name because they're controlling it. Like I said about the Fed, it's nothing to do with the Fed. It's a central bank controlled by half a dozen bankers with astronomical power. But it's all in the background with nice words. I wish the best way to say it's like the last World War. You don't say we're going to kill innocent women and children, like in the they're going to call it the final solution to the Jewish problem. That's a lawyer came out with that. That sounds a lot nicer than murdering innocent people, if you get my point. So these nice little ways of saying it, like covering it up, the real menace behind it. and then suddenly you're so upset because Prince Harry was found with his trousers down in teasers or something, and that completely dominates the news because we let them push towards, let's be honest, trivial aspects. Might not be for his wife, but with all respect, in the bigger term, it ain't so important, if you get my point. Okay. Right, should we go on to trades now? I think we're done with that one. I'm looking at US dollar rand. Okay, we've got the Eskom thing, the guy leaving, it can't be good. We've got a slightly hawkish area on finish on Fed yesterday. So we got that settled down. So I think we can go back and look at this. Remember, guys, if you haven't been here before, you need a bit of money in your account to do it because the margin is high. It's about 650. Still forgot the exact one. It might be 680, but I'm saying right about 650 is the margin you need for 1 micro. And I think the costs are higher because it's an exotic. So it's about 20 pips cost. So bear that in mind. But it can be quite overcoming that. And you've got a couple of bucks. If it wins, whether it costs you 20 to get there instead of 2, or winners are winners, you know. And I do see some upside here. But remember, I would suggest if you haven't traded before, you're not too clued up about it, and you've got less than about 3-4K in your account, maybe it might be an idea to leave it. And you need still free margin. Even if you've got 8K in your 10K in your account, and you haven't got much free margin, don't go anymore. You need free margin. Very important point that. But if that's all in order, I think there's a possibility of some upside here. I can see technically some resistance there, and it's battling at the moment to get above there. But I think you could wait to be maybe more prudent. But I think I do see upside. I see that 10 days going to get broken because the fundamentals are getting really pretty ropey, for a polite way of saying, in the rand. And the dollar was having a little bit of effect before, but it's slightly less effect. That smoke's gone out. You know, that's stuff sort of not dealt with, but it's, you know, we know what's going on now. We've had the Fed, we've had the CPI, we had the slight hawkish trend. So I think the dollar's going to have a big fear at the moment. My major thing is I see the rand having problems, so we could get a bit more weakness on the rand. Anybody like the look of it? And you agree on that, Jethro? Okay. So if we do that, let's see if we get a risk reward. But bear in mind what I just said. Don't jump in if you don't know what I'm talking about. Even then, don't jump in. Okay. Where can we put the stop? There we are. TP up here. 17.682. Ignore the last two digits, confuses me no matter else. Going along. So what was it again? 17.68. Might get further. I think it's going to get to 18 again. If anything comes up, the Ramaphosa impeachment, that was a bit of huff and puff overheard it. Then it comes a bit more substance to it, meat on the bones on that one, it'll get worse. So that's not going to work. Let's try a little bit tighter. Not really. So we're going to have to break that rule. It shot out before, so we'll do it again. Shoot up higher. Do that. I think it's going to get 18. Don't forget Mr. Luke, who's here with us. He can modify. He's doing all right with his Brent. That should sort you. Just remember, it's 200 bucks a micro. And it's going to be 650 odd rand at your margin. So on 2 grand, I suggest you don't go for this. You've got enough free margin, at least 3.5. Let's say we make it 3.5 grand in your account and free margin on top. I think it's a possibility of some upside. We can look on the 1 hour, which we should do anyway before we get too cute with it. Look on the 4 hour, and we can look at it on the weekly. Okay. That's a bit more dollar. It shot up, then the dollar weakened a bit. That's more fundamental push down than any particular technical worries there. Or I'm based a little bit on the fundamental problem with Eskom. I hope you all realize how important Eskom is. It is. I don't think people realize how, I've been saying this literally about 2-3 years now, what an exceptional problem Eskom is. And often it's not pushed out as much as it should be because they want to hide away from the problem. But now it's really coming home to roost. It's you get Business Day and you get these respectable publications going into more detail of it, and it's a serious problem. Pity it's not actually, what's the time now? Nearly 10 o'clock. It's not about 8 this morning. We could have got it at 17:12. So if you want to get a bit of a pullback and risk missing out, feel free. It might come back a little bit and have another bash at the upside. So I'll leave that in your hands whether you want to do it or not. Okay. Yeah, but fortunately, with guys smaller figures, you got to go 5%. If you got $2,000, you got to go 10%. Some guys have got 500 rand, then the class got to waste 20%. But the problem is most of the beginners, not just little money, it's just fear that start them little, or simple, not highly educated, to be honest, and think they're going to get something for nothing. Unfortunately, that's another tragedy put out. So people least defend themselves. They sell this sales pitch as something for nothing. And when you're desperate, you tend to want to grasp it. And so you've got to change those figures around. I know 2% is the world norm, but that's for people who are comfortably off. We've got a decent size balance. So you've got to look at these. If you've got $2,000, you've got to start looking at 10%. You won't be able to trade. And you can say that. I've seen guys five with not a clue about how the pros and cons of leverage on a 500 to 1 going sort of like risking 60, 70% on small accounts, sometimes more, and they get margin called. Just a slight flicker against them and the noise up and down, they get margin called because they just don't understand. And I've been on the phone call trying to explain to them, and they're still not getting a mass of it. That's the one worry I do have in this country. I don't know if you listen to 702 in the mornings, they have this whiz quiz for these 10 to 13-year-olds. Some are quite bright. I mean, this morning, the guy knew that, for instance, Ethiopia and Africa are not, well, not is it Turkey or Ethiopia? Oh, Ethiopia, which one's in Africa? He got that right. And they asked him what's 12 and 15. And he couldn't work that out in his head. Now, to me, knowing what 12 and 15 and working out basic arithmetic is more important whether you think Turkey or Ethiopia is in Africa. It's nice to know, but it's, you know, that is the problem. Getting a lot of these clever little kids who might know where Alaska is, but if you say what's 25 and 14, they can't work it out. You know what I mean? And that, to me, it tells a lot about the education, the mathematical area here. I obviously didn't go to school here, but it's a worry because I get a lot of guys with matric who are virtually, you know, arithmetically, numerically, not being illiterate. And that is extremely dangerous because, as I say, if you don't understand percentages and interest rate, things like that, you're going to have problems. Okay, that's like not being able to read and write. You've got a problem. And that's the issue. And that's why they're going in expecting ridiculous returns, not understanding percentages of a very small account. Nothing wrong with having it, as long as you go pros and cons of being undercapitalized. And even I say, sorry, sir, undercapitalized, and look at me blankly. And I thought it's going to be an uphill struggle for them to even get a foot in the door of a complicated derivatives market, where it's internationally played and trillions of dollars are swishing around the world, if you get my point. Okay. Yeah, well, if you can do that, I've got to get a reasonable account, but yeah, you can do that. No problem with that. But I'm just saying, small accounts got no choice. You're not going to trade on 2%. I mean, if you've got 400 rand in your account, what's 2%? It's got 440. That's $8. You know what I mean? $8 is your risk. You can't go in. There's nothing out there that's going to give you 8 rand stop loss risk. You're never going to see the risk calculator and say 8 rand. You're wasting your time. But there's a lot of guys out there who wouldn't have the slightest clue what I'm talking about when they say that. And on the moral part, it worries me a little bit, but maybe they shouldn't really be here. You know what I mean? That's just, yeah, it's just, maybe they're just driving a little bit fast for their mathematical nous. Anyway, whatever. Okay. But yeah, if you like it, every time it comes off, it's trying to bump up a bit. You might get a better price. It was a better price, no doubt about it. This morning it's gone up a bit. But it's trying to break through that high up there. That's obviously, you can see it better on the daily. It's high up here, as you can see, but I think it's going to happen. So if you want to stop out the way there, wait for the pull back in a wider stop might be okay. There's a possibility for you. Okay. Yeah, I can't go into that line, but I hear you. If you know what I'm saying, Jethro, yeah. And to be fair on them, some of the blind leading the blind there as well, to be honest. Nothing wrong with the product, often to where it's pushed. I always think like timeshare. Wasn't a bad product. What screwed it up was a lot of the people, shall we say, not exactly the most moral way of putting it across, if you get my point. It's a recorded line here. But get into trouble here. You know what I mean? But yeah. And then the blame timeshare, but actually, product wasn't bad. That product actually, is actually a very good product. C2 register, very good product. But it's like my car's a very good car. But if I say it can fly and it can be a submarine like James Bond, well, yeah, well, it can't. Yeah, well, I know about it anyway, clearly, but so there's no point in that. Especially, you don't want to disillusion some new guys. As they say, don't knock a guy's dream, but then we'll move on before we get too far down that road. Okay, right. We got some trades out yesterday. Euro NZD. It looks like we've got a problem on that one. So start with a negative. Euro NZD is looking like it's going to be a problem. It opened up above the 200. We sold it when it was just below. We did a great one. We made a winning trade. We entered again with all good faith. We entered again, and this time the euro's got stronger. Remember, later on today we've got interest rates. I think it's 3:15, but I can't remember now. Interest rate release, which may or may not strengthen the euro, depending how it's taken. It looks like a bit of a high. It might be a bit sideways because of the interest rate expectation, but it looks like it's opened here. So it's in the neutral zone. So I'm not that confident. In fact, we might have been stopped out actually. 6350. What are we talking about? Euro dollar sell 6560. Yeah, we've been stopped out. So that answers that question. I won't go any more. So start off that negative. We've got a couple of positives coming up. As you all know, we're not going to win every one. Best phase in the world, and that didn't work out. So that happens. Let's go to GBP JPY. Gave us a bit of chip yesterday. Started to worry us a little bit. That's why if you stop your correct volumes and you let the trade run and stick with your strategy. If you just did just that, your problems are now over. You've got it at 67.35. It's now 68.05. Now you can move your stop. I'd keep it below there. Make it 167.70. You don't want to get it too close. What's today's low? Yeah, just below today's low. Make it 167.70. That means you got 35 pips built in. So what a pleasure. And if it can hold about 168 and go up further, it might even heat up TP. So do that on the GBP JPY, modify it to 167.70 and revise it. Do what you like. I'm not saying you have to do it, but I'm suggesting 167.70. Protect your profits and see if you get some more upside. And if it's still going strong, which you will see, you might even modify your TP as you modify your stop and extract some more juice out of it. Okay. Okay. Well, all right. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so I was doing that, Jimmy. Yeah, so the pound, euro, that's fine, okay, right? Remember, I was worried about what would happen to the dollar yesterday. I was a bit wary of going into it, depending slight hawkish level, as thank goodness saved it because it was down below 135 yesterday. So I hope it didn't hit your stop. It flirted with it, and as far as I can see from what stop I got down here, it didn't get there. So in theory, you should still be in it, and hey, ho, you're in profit. I think still a bit close to move the stop. You can certainly modify it to reduce risk, but to get it to entry at 135.50 is maybe a little bit close at this stage. You can get towards 136. We can certainly modify it to profit. But if you want to reduce risk, you can certainly do that. But at least now it is in profit. So 2 out of 3 are in profit. That's good. And then the other one was CHF JPY. That came right in the end. Let's have a look what it's doing now. And we got it 145.78. It came off a bit. That's what the market does. But because you're learning, you weren't overexposed. You stuck with your strategy because you're all good boys and girls. Hey, class? Yes, good boys and girls now. And now you're in nice profit, just under 100 pips profit. What a pleasure. Clearly, it's when you can move it to profit. I would say you can move it to 146.30. And therefore, you've built in, according to mine, just over 50 pips profit. So you've built in 50 pip profit, and then we can maybe, should be 80 pips up, and then we can continue, hopefully, all right, north. Okay, so, yeah. You shouldn't be stopped out of the yen. If you were, maybe, I don't know, whatever, but it shouldn't have been. I wasn't, and I'm in it, so anyway, if it was, I don't know about that, but I went exactly the figures I gave, and I'm still in it. I know the only reason I think I could be actually just because I'm better looking than you. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Yes, because I'm so much better looking. Look after me. That's what it is. That's a bit surprising. It shouldn't have been. The suits you mean now. Okay, the spread. I don't know, maybe my book must stop that. Why didn't click mine then? Because obviously I'm joking about the looks part. I clearly too rubbish there. Surprising. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know. Maybe the spread, yeah. Because remember, you get in the buy and the sell. That's just interesting. Shouldn't have happened. It flirted with, as far as I'm concerned. It missed me about 2 pips actually. I was worried, but anyway, I didn't move it. Anyway, pity about that. But you said you didn't get the 148.25. Didn't get there. Whereas it get back there? It didn't. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, okay. Right. Sorry about that. It was doing okay. Those are left in should still be in anyway. Okay. That's actually quite annoying because I mean it flirts with it. I mean, you know, it stops at 146 on the dot, and it goes 146.99 and goes up. I don't. That's not so kosher. If it goes down to 145 or something, then fair enough. Oh, okay, all right. I'm not sure I can say. These Pete's still in. Okay, but those are still in. Then that's okay. JP, that's a profit now. GBP, JPY is a profit, so we're fine there on that one. One's in a profit. Well, okay. Anyway, I personally think whatever. That's not bloody bad going, considering we've had an unbelievable amount of funders. I've never seen such a 3 days of Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday tomorrow. Certainly these 2 days, so sort of many fundies affecting the world markets, all crammed in one area. The Swiss, the euro, the pound, and the US interest rates coming up, plus the CPI and the jobless and the Michigan and all the rest of them, plus the retail sales. I've never seen so many crammed. So to come out with that, I think it's not bloody bad actually. Maybe I'm grasping here. I'm glad the bread came right as well, Jethro. No pressure there. Hey, Roger? Yes, it came right, thank goodness. After that nice accolade it gave me, better come bloody right. But the thing is, that's the whole point, Jethro. You can take the loss, you're not happy with it, but your position side was correct. It's the guys that say, I'm blown on that one, I'm in tears, etc., because their position sizing was completely ridiculous. They're too busy thinking I'm making $1 million, forgetting that risking $500,000. Yeah. That's why I say you've got to take the risk to get it. So you control that risk. Equity management is vital to stay in the game. And that's why you have to have some idea of the mathematics behind it. Let's go back to old friend CAD JPY. Do you think, should we give this a miss? We've been hit this hard a couple of times, but do you think we should have another bash or move up on the range? We got the dollar out of the way now, and it seems to be following the dollar. Maybe get a bit of a bounce here. What do you think? Or should we leave it alone? This is a bit aggressive, to be honest. Giving me some jip this last couple of times, but last 2 times it didn't work out at all. Should we say 3rd time lucky, or should we just say kick it into touch? Well, kick it into touch is Anna Marie. It's fair enough. Okay, we'll come back to it. I'm not exactly overwhelmed with excitement on that. Come back to you, like. What else can we look at? Gold did come off in the end, more of the hawkish statement. As it turned out, I nearly thought maybe 1830 wouldn't be reached, maybe get us 1840 stop, 1820, taking it down here. As it turned out, it would have been a correct trade, but that's obviously in hindsight. But I was too worried again about the Fed. The opposite could have occurred, so I decided to stay off it, and it turned out it would have been all right. So I don't think I'm too keen to chase the moment. I think it'd get a bounce back to 800. I think it happened there. Okay, S&P. Anyone still in that? You should be doing fine. We got it at 40.50. Where's S&P? So that's doing just fine. Anybody still in it? Or have you taken profit? We'll come to Brent in a moment. Anybody still in the S&P? We got it at 40.50 in the trading room. If you modified your stop, stopped out, not in it. Anybody still in it? Okay, finally, great, Brady. Still in it. I presume you modified your stop. I suggest you can maybe modify it to 4. If that's too close, don't do it. Maybe 4,000. If it's too close, don't do it. Maybe a bit higher. If you want to put it entry, you can. But whatever you do, I strongly suggest at least an entry. We don't want something ridiculous to go wrong where you suddenly take a loss out of a winner because you're in profit at the moment. But that's up to you. But don't get it closer than 4,000. Otherwise, you might as well, if you want to get close to that, you might as well just take it because you're going to get stopped out in the noise. But yeah, good. So that's we can call that a winning trade if you modify. That's good. Just going to check, see all these bits and papers I got the previous days. Some are out of date. Just give me a moment as I check anything else to go over. Microsoft's in a profit, still in that. S&P we mentioned. CFJPY is fine. Euro JPY was a buy from Zephyr. I don't know what happened there, but anyway, CAD JPY will less of that, but better. The dollar rand did okay. See, we get another one just now. Bubba's slightly in profit. That's fine. And that's not what we've got at the moment. Oh, yeah, NZDCHF. That's been going on for, since I don't know how long. But at least it's in a profit. We got it 81. It's now at 38. Anybody still in this one? It's in a profit, clearly, or you're all out now. I don't want to sort of go on about something nobody's in at the moment. Are you? Anybody still in it? You're all out. Well, Farley's out. Anybody still in? Still in. Okay, if you're still in, get your stop down to entry or maybe a few pips below entry, covering costs, and then see if it can come right. If it doesn't, you don't lose. If it does come right, well, good for you, but it is trying to come right. I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Don't want to keep going back to stuff with one person in and they're covered anyway with a decent stop. Okay, so that's fine. All right, just make sure we've got these all in order. Yeah, go back to it. So that's covered what we're already in. So the job now is to look for new stuff. Might be difficult, so I mentioned just now. For the simple wrap, we got these three important interest rate decisions coming out today at different times. And Lagarde, the Euro lady, is speaking again this evening, and a few others. So might be a bit circumspect there, but doesn't say we can't. And we've had a very, 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 very tough time last couple of days. And we've seemed to come out, shall we say, not terribly. Not great, but not terribly. A hell of a lot better, a lot of other guys out there where people, people spending a lot of money from their information for subscriptions and all that sort of thing, and they're taking a bad knock. This trading was free to you guys, and we've done a lot better than a lot of those other guys out there. If it makes you feel any better, even if you take the 10 rand loss. But I can honestly say that I don't think after all that we've done too badly. You know, 3 against 3,000, one broken leg is not a bad result. Okay, so it's not too bad. Just a bit pissed off about the yen, because that actually looked like a winning trade. It's a bit of a pity about that. Some still in, thank goodness for that. Right, this one, if you didn't take it, it's starting to take off. I'll leave that to you anyway. I'll leave that alone for now. Okay, but I'll mention that. Take it if you want. Okay, right. Anything you want to look at? Any New Zealand, Aussie, or whatever? Canadian, Japanese, you can. Be a bit wary of the pound. Be a bit wary of the euro. A bit wary of the Swiss at the moment. Even though we're in a Swiss one, we're protected on the Swiss JPY, so we're okay there. Euro dollar. I'm looking for a lot downside there. What you're looking for? I think this is seriously overcooked. My problem with this, technically, it's in the buy zone. Technically, that's in the buy zone. I'm scared to buy it. Technically, you're correct, Jethro. Technically, you're absolutely correct. I'm just scared. 2 reasons I'm scared. I think it's a bit high, even though it's in the buy zone. I think that a little bit of hawkish crept in the dollar, but at the same time, euro's coming out with stuff. I think it could be slightly hawkish. They're trying to push that forward because I know they've got the problems there. And if that's the case, you might get some more strength in the euro. So I'm a bit on the side of it, but I think there could be squeezed some more upside movement before we get eventually an overbought scenario where we can get a pullback. So I'm leaning slightly to the benefit of yourself on that. Slightly, not a short, no, a long, slightly in the benefit of that because it's now open on the weekly on the buy zone. I'm slightly in favor of that, but not enough favor that I'm going in with the interest rate and the Lagarde speaking today. If she's bullish, which I think it's slight odds she would be, you might get some upside, but I'm too scared to do it, put it that way. We've had 13 losses and 4 wins. That's not good, at least 7. So if they stay in profit and you come up with 11, still not good there. As I say, well, we should be doing 2 out of 3. That's the theory anyway. But it's been tough. It's been a bit tough. Dow, again, you've got to have money. Don't know what your account is there. Make sure you're doing your, I think the Dow, you should need preferably 10, but maybe squeeze at 8 grand, but 10 grand, maybe you've got to have free margin for the ups and downs. If you got 10 grand, you got 7 grand in the market or 8 grand in the market, you might have enough free margin to do it. Okay, just make sure you get a free margin. Can't give an exact figure, but just bear that in mind. Okay, just to go in on this. Remember, the contract size is 10, to show you again, guys. Left click, right click, specification, contract 10. Gold is 10, and that's 1800. NASDAQ is about 11,000 somewhere over, and that's 10. S&P is about 3,000, and that's 10. This is nearly 34,000, also 10. So it's a different ball game. Hope you understand the maths on that. Downside, I think it might be coming in. I agree with you. Well, I'm not very new on saying there, sell the rallies. So I do see downside there, but I want a decent stop. We might not be able to get that decent stop. See, up there, we're talking $60 odd to put it there. That's 1,000 rand a micro. So that's not going to work. You see where the problem is. So you've got to put it down here somewhere. And even that's $36, which is what's that, about 680, 670 off the top of my head, really off the top of my head, per micro. You see where the problem is. And if you put any closer, you're risking getting knocked out in the noise. Just bear that in mind. That's fine if you got the capital to do it. If you haven't got much capital, you can't use the 2% rule. Yeah, I can't talk it openly on here because it hasn't been released yet, but the things are coming in that direction for various reasons, and I'm pushing hard for it for various reasons. I don't want to say any more on here because it's yes, in other words, but just say it'll be when that information is sorted. Didn't be first released on it, but absolutely bloody wrong. Absolutely, yeah. I'm pushing on it, but not just because you need it, because there'll be good reason behind it. But I can't go into those details now. But I pushed again this morning, asking the head honcho here, and they said he'll tell me it's not spread until like the other stuff I'm on about, which I'm not going to mention now. What we're in negotiations. Once that side is sorted, then you'll start getting these spreads sorted out. Okay. But wait till that happens before we start chit-chatting amongst everybody. Don't get me into trouble now. Yeah, there's various reasons of that, but we'll go into it later. But I'm so, well, of course I'm aware of it. And clearly they are. So yeah, it's on the go. But it's 2 weeks' time, well, certainly 2 weeks' time. Will it be January, February? I don't know. With a negotiation, various aspects, so we can make that a reality. And that when we get that, it's going to be massive. And believe me, I'll be shocked from the moon when that happens. But to the whole picture behind the spreads, there's a lot of other stuff will be released on that. So some exciting things coming. Just leave it at that. Okay. Believe me, I'm very excited about these things. Just got to get them the I's dotted and the T's crossed before we can say. In other words, I need to know what the interest rate is before I can make a comment. Otherwise, it's just in abeyance. Okay. Yes, you're quite right. Okay, Tembikosi, yeah. This one is the 10. The magenta one's the 10. This is the 200 moving average, and this is the 50 moving average, all simple. Somebody once asked why not exponential? Because the international usage of it, not the 10, that's my choice, the 50 and 200 is the most popular one used. Internationally, those two simple moving averages is by far the most used. So if they use a lot, like the trends your friend until it bends, it becomes self-fulfilling. So if you haven't got it, I very, very, very strongly suggest you get these two, and you can cut out a lot of the other stuff that's clapping your charts up, because those are invaluable. Not when they cross, ignore that, that's lagging. But for filtering, support, and resistance, and you'll see very quick at a glance where's a possibility to trade, whether it's strong, weak, or neutral, or whatever, and aspects like that become a lot easier, and you get rid of a lot of clutter, it makes it a lot easier. If you like the 10, which I quite like, put on as well, Once you got it on there, thicken the line so you can see it clearly. Not too thick, but you know, I can see it there. And then don't forget, right click, go to templates. For goodness sake, guys, go to templates, save your template, put in your name, put in Tembi or Incozy or Tembi Code, whatever you want to put in there, save it. So if you do have a problem, you lose the chart for some pressing the wrong button, doesn't matter, go to templates, and you can see down here are the saved ones. I've got, how many I got? About half a dozen, about 7 or 8, I don't know. And then you just go there, click on the saved one, and the charts are back up again. If you have a problem in the meantime setting it up, you like the colors or you don't like the colors, all you do is you right click, go down to properties, simple as that, set it up, and it'll show the example. If you like the example, you played around with it, then you click OK, and away you go. It's as simple as that. I'm quite frankly never going to be the chairman of the board of the software department. Trust me. So if I can get that and I think it's simple, trust me, it is simple. I remember I'm about as IT as a man on the moon. So if I say it's simple, trust me, it is. Oh, sorry. Okay, Mike. Catch you tomorrow. I'm doing the morning one tomorrow, and that's it. And then I'm doing Monday, thanks for reminding me, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as normal next week. And then it's closed to the 9th of trading. That is close to the 9th of January. But I'll be around. So if I see a trading note those Christmas days, I will be posting them. And you can WhatsApp me. If I'm at pub lunch and my wife, then maybe not. But I don't think I'll be too much of that. But joking apart, I'll be around for that sort of thing. But as I say, the trading was closing after Wednesday, from Thursday onwards. Okay, so just bear that in mind. The Friday is a public holiday tomorrow, but it's not internationally. So well, I don't think it's going to be a full one, probably in about an hour if you come to join me. But if the questions are there and the trades are there and you need to go on, I'll go on. I mean, yeah, I'm no problem at all. I'm prepared to go a little bit longer. I'm not on bloody, I'm not a union worker. It's 5 o'clock. I'm going home now. I'm going on strike. No. If you've got stuff going, it goes after 11. I'm happy to do it. But if there's not much happening, quiet, not enough people, or whatever it happens to be, well, then we'll just call it a day and have a say Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas, see you on Monday. But I mean, you know, and we'll just take it from there. Okay, classes you probably know will be closed. That's the last day. I think it's today. It won't be open tomorrow till the 9th or whatever it is. But this will be going. Markets are open. We have to have someone on it, and I'm the one person that's qualified, so I've got not much choice in any matter. Okay, we all know that. So, guys, please don't go to your account manager for advice. I know you got to know him. You think he's a nice guy or girl or wherever he is or she is, but they'll help you open up accounts or tell you about bonuses or God knows whatever. I'm too busy to handle all that. They'll handle it. But please don't ask them trade advice. They cannot give it all out. If they've been posting a trade, trust me, those trades have been copy and pasted for myself. They cannot send trades, okay? Yeah. And the beauty is knowledge. I'm also stunningly, irresistibly handsome as well. So I have to be honest, knowledge, you've got great taste in pen. There you are. And I know what you like about me most is I'm so incredibly modest. Yeah. Sorry, as the angles in me, I tend to take the mickey out of myself quite a lot. It's all in fun. Part of the culture I picked up before I came over here is I can laugh at myself. Like, what was it, Kirstie Alley or whatever, it died the other day. And I said, never heard of her, way before my time. Trouble is, no one believed me. Okay, so the Dow, if you want to do it, I've got off the track, sorry about that. If you want to do it, I'm looking about 288 pips for the potential with a stop here. I don't think so. Costs, not the costs, but I mean the wide spreads. There's more ticks not to do it than to do it. So I'd suggest stand aside. But everyone here understands the basic maths I'm going on about. When I say contract size is important, one size doesn't fit all, different margins, go to specifications. divide the margin into 100 to get your leverage. We call it 500 1 or 1 to 1, but not any of them 5 or 100. Some are more leverage than others. If you get the leverage, it's quite simple. Go and look at the margin by going to specification, divide 100, and that's your leverage. And make sure you got free margin. Time and time again, guys, in margin call on good trades, simply because they haven't got enough collateral to sustain the open trade. The margins deposit, it's like anything. Why do they want to deposit? It's collateral. You're being lent the balance, and the lender needs to have that collateral. Somebody bangs your window at the robot in Joburg and says, I've got problems, you lend me 100 rand, I'll pay you back honest. Doubtfully you're going to do it because the collateral is not strong. The chance of getting your money back is not good. So the deposit ensures that it's there. If they have to close that position, the collateral runs out to take the risk out, because their money is in the swap fees, the interest on the loan. They're not taking the risk. Unfortunately, they're not getting returns. They don't need the big returns. They got billions. If you got 100 million rand, why take a risk? Why not the bank? Even at 2%, you can live off it pretty damn well. You get the point. We have to take the risk because we want to be that area. One has to go with the other. Again, common sense if you think about it. Must admit, Jess, you've got more nerve than I have. You want to buy it. Interest rates coming out, don't forget. What time does it come out? Just a reminder. We have to do interest rates coming out. GBP interest rates coming out at 2 o'clock. Got more nerve than me, but take your points in the buy zone. Could pop up here, 60 pips. Stop loss maybe just down here. Maybe squeeze a 38 pip. I don't know, you push it. Maybe a 35 pip, something like that. If you want to do a nice, very, very aggressive bordering on a scalp trade, maybe you can buy it, jump up there. I'm suggesting that's for the tough guys out there. I'm not so tough. If you want to go with Jethro, I'll put the risk reward calculator and give me the figures if you like it. If you want to make that decision, it's up to you. I'm going to stay on the side. Okay, we're talking about a pending order. 1.235, that's a different ballgame, okay. Right about there, but oh, that's a different ballgame. Okay, well, look at that, that's a different ballgame. Right, and then 1.2, is that right? 1.235. Not much different as now. I thought we were talking down here somewhere. That's just only a little bit below. Is that what we're looking at? 1.235. What do you want? I'm not too sure about that. No, if you want a 2 to 1, we're going to put the T. We'll put a TP in here. 1.2410 with a spread, so no problem with the spread again. So 1.2410. And then we're going to have to move the stop loss down. Make this one, I think we can make this one 2270. That might be a better deal. And then 1.218 maybe. On one. It might be a slightly better deal down there as your entry. If you have it that close to the entry now, you're not. That's a 1.55. Even that's not a 2. You get my point. Anyway, you're a bright lad. You can do the figures. You work some out for yourself. If anyone wants to do it, we'll play around with these figures, but I'm not keen. I think it might get a bit of up movement interest rate decision. Who knows? BOE is going to be speaking. Governor Bay is going to be speaking, like Powell did yesterday, and his slightly hawkish stance took out the venom of the 0.5% for the share price, as you know. So anything can happen with it. I think probably a better deal is rather not get too cute. If you want it, it's your money. Try it anyway. Where do you want to go in the pending order again? pending at 1.235. Stop loss at 1.2329. 2329, and we're at 24350. 2435. Okay, we do that. That's a very, very tight stop. You got there, you sure about that? You got yourself there a 21 pip stop. Sorry, mate, Jethro, I love you in a bit, but purely plutonically, panic not, panic not, but I can't say I agree.
Hi, Raj.
I had fun.
The Swiss bank rate is out. It's increased by 0.5, 50 basis points.
Okay, let me look now. Thank you. Just get these guys out of the way. Just gonna, because we've got the chat line that covering it up. As exactly as expected, half a percent. That's right. I forgot to check that. You're expecting 0.5% increase. Yeah, it's quite a lot for Swiss. Let's go look at the Swiss now. It's quite a lot. I know it's expected. Remember, Switzerland had actually minus rates not so long ago, so it's a heck of a lot. Remember, it was 0.5%. Now it jumped to 1. That's like doubling the interest rate. So percentage-wise, a lot. So let's go and look at the Swiss francs. See what happens. Let's go to the one we're in. CHF JPY. Go to the 15, get some action there. It's interesting there. Now, in theory, you'd think you'd get a bit of strength on the Swiss, not a bit of weakness. Okay. And now it actually jumped around a bit. What the hell happened there? Let's go to 1 minute. Going back up again, maybe not. Okay. Yeah. Okay, it was doing beautifully. It's come back, probably stopped you all out now in a profit. Now, you'd think, well, hang on a minute. Why is that happening? Number one, expected to discount the market. And number two, higher interest rates on a country that relies very much on, should we say, big banks. Might find that not so good for the franc because it's going to delay some growth in that country. Yeah, because normally, you know, it's strengthened. Last time, remember, we went up by 0.25% to 0.5%. And that involved a bit of weakness. A bit back to front on the Swiss because it's a slightly different economy than just about everywhere else. It manufactures, well, what does it manufacture? I think it's Swiss cheese and cuckoo clocks or what, Rolex or whatever, but mainly it's a banking nation. So that might be some of the reason why it came off. It's surprising still. That's why you got to watch it, because sometimes the results not what you expect. But knowledge is far, far, far too many fundamentals today. Remember, didn't help our cause on Wednesday either. But today is just even almost the same story. But yeah, but thanks for the reminder, Fani. There we are. Let's have a look at the dollar one. Yeah, the dollar had a bit of a jump. We'll let that market settle. I think it might cool off a bit. The overall strength of that economy is still there, very, very stable. So. Yeah, that happened, so there it is. Anyway, we're forewarned, forearms, they say, so that's fine. Nobody really got not to that, and if it did stop you out with Swiss franc JPY, so be it. You made a profit. If it comes back enough, we can go in again and buy it. That's still the name of the game. Okay. Right, let's look at
At what level? Sorry, Roger. Same as what we increased 2 days ago, or what?
Yeah, good point there. Good point. See, we've gotten some support here. Let's just zoom out a bit. Got a bit of support here. Is he settling down? Let's try the 5 minutes. Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think so, yeah. What can we have a stop down here? It's a bit tight, maybe it's a bit wider. What do we do? I'd like to have a stop just below there. we can. What's the potential profit on this one? It's not good enough. You're going to have to aim higher to get a risk reward. So we're going to have to aim up here. So we've got the Swiss franc, 147.18. But I think we can get another chance of this year, right? 147.18. Do the same as before. We've got to take that previous high out. But if we can modify the stop, we're just fine. I want it slightly wider than that to make it worthwhile. Okay, we'll stick with that then. No, that's not going to work. That'll work, and then we'll get this down a little bit further, just below there. That'll work. If you want to make it 2, you can. It's near enough. Damn it there. But yeah, agree. I like it. There we are. I like it. I think I have another move back up. Let's go to the 5-minute again. Yeah, I think it's going to go more upside after that move down. Some profit taking, get a bit of a bounce and profit taking as well. Yeah, I like it. If you're worried about it, you think you might get it back below 146 like last time, well, that might occur. You're a bit nervous of it. You want to give it maybe an hour or two. That's entirely up to you. But I think we might get some recovery. I think it's going to be some profit taking bounce after that big move. You would. You just mind in a massive position. Scream down, you're going to get out of it. How to get out of it? You got to buy it. That pushes it up. It's pushing up as we speak. It's gone from 195 to 175 risk reward. So there we are. So if you want to do that one, yeah. If you want to wait, up to you. Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that is going to be taken out at some stage in the future. But there you are. Do you want to wait on it, or what do you want to do? Should we wait on it, or if you want to do it, tell me, and then I'll put it down. But it is a bit risky after just the news just come out. Okay, we'll just hang 5. Okay, fair enough. But if you want to do a smaller one, then finally, it's up to you. Okay. Maybe upsize the name of the game. Yeah. Still select calculator. Pleasure, finally. I should have taken it. So you're all too scared. You should have taken it earlier on this morning, about an hour ago. We've been up there. Too scared, eh? Can't say I blame you. GBP, JPY, doing just fine. Where do you put the stop again? We modified it to, I think, 70, I think it was. Is there any more upside there coming in? No, leave it at 70 at the moment. If we can get it more upside, modify your stop. Eh? Just make sure you're still in a better profit. Okay. We shouldn't go to the dollar yen, but some of you got knocked out. You might be doing well now. Yeah, you're not very happy chappies now. I shouldn't have looked at it. And that 80 pips profit. Okay, guys, sorry about this. Hold your, put your hands over your ears. The guy got knocked out. The guy's still in. Modify your stop on this. Get to 136. You're building a 50 pip profit. Okay. Well, it's just correct. The bigger the spread means it's like having 2 zeros on the roulette table. But as I say, when that thing I'm talking about, which I'm not talking about, is tied up, then they'll be doing just that. But just leave it at that. But I hope it's going to be tied up in the next couple of months. It's been talked about the last couple of months, but it might be done in January when they come back from the silly season. But I'm just saying, then hopefully God will be sorted. I badger him all the time on it. Not the spreads, but the other thing which can result in spreads big time. You're quite right. You've got to be competitive. It's no good having good service if you have non-competitive spreads. You're right. Because what you do is you get the service and then you take the money elsewhere. That's no bloody good at all. That's what they call this time of year, the silly season. Yeah. Okay. Hope you all modify your stop in S&P winners are in. It's been quite nicely. So the NAS, look at the NAS every. Yeah. Coming off a bit. If you break 11.5, look for a short, hang 5 at the moment. Remember, I've been saying short near 12 grand or a decent break below 11.5, but be careful if you haven't got enough money. I do not want guys with small accounts touching this NASDAQ because you're going to get margin called unless you're very lucky. Yeah. Well, I'm afraid this is it. I mean, yeah. Well, you can nothing do about it, you know. If we gave you nil spreads, you'd come back up. So, but yeah, we'll work on it. Well, I'm certainly aware of it. So God, they listen to me. But I mean, it's common sense, Jethro. You like me very much, but I'm paying you $10 an hour. And Joe Soap there, you might not like him very much. He's paying you $15 an hour to do the same job, same area. Right, I like you, but you gotta go. I mean, I understand that. I think there's a goals coming off. Yeah. All right. Any questions? Oh yeah, I want to do these again for those who haven't got it. Just give me a second. Just get the economic calendar again. Doesn't take long. Might as well do every session, just so those one or two who don't have it will have it. And I'll do the DXY. That's the dollar index for those who don't have it. Also very important. Copy paste. You know what to do. Not copy paste. Sorry. Copy. Not copy. I mean, you know, use the link. You know what to do. Spelling out the obvious here. Okay, so there you are. You got the dollar index and the economic calendar. Those who don't have it, hi, Sakili. Have those if you haven't got it. Keep it minimized. You need to know what's happening on the economic fundamental front, and you need to know what the dollar index is doing, which has gone back above 104. So I think that's some good news, actually. Well, that's my goodbye. I hope it's all arrivederci there, Isabel. Which means see you again. Or au revoir, let's say. Au revoir means see you again. Goodbye means to hell with it. Another one in South Africa means, I'm just going to take the mickey a little bit here, we just have the funny side of it. Another one in South Africa means goodbye, before I won't see you again, is I'll get back to you. So I'm teasing there. Ask anyone foreigner who's been over here a little bit of time, and they'll know what I mean. When you say I'll get back to you means you'll never hear from me again. Overseas they don't. They say get back to the do. It seems to be that's the last thing I hear of you. It's a bit of a standing joke about the immigrants here. Well, I'm a citizen now, so I can tell the joke. It's true, isn't it? But I feel that in clouds, and I've got back to it. I can feel the body language a bit surprised. I'll get back to you, and I actually do. Yeah, you ask anyone who's been a couple of years and ask them that, and you know, with your sense of humor. And, yeah, standing joke about the culture. I'll get back to you. Or in Cape Town, let's do lunch. There's another one. It means you never see each other again. So it's a polite, sort of like a polite way of saying have a nice day. Yeah, yeah. Some guys didn't like it, so they didn't. But yeah, I like it. I see upside. Eskom problem is good. Dollars start to strengthen. I definitely see upside. But don't forget, you need money in your account to do it because the margins are higher and the spreads are higher. Just bear that in mind. That's the upside. I've mentioned that as well. You go to the S&P, right click specification, simple as that. There's the details you need. You've got to learn how to understand it. You know, if you don't understand the maths, you're going to have a problem. It should be explained in the classes anyway. I don't really go to the classes because I suppose I should just to check what they're saying. But as far as I can see, the major problem there is not enough people attending the classes that have bought the course, and those who do either play on Facebook or don't interact, or when it's finished still don't understand. But think because they've been to the class that they do. To interact and understand. I know a lot of guys come to me after they've been to classes and asking questions they should have actually covered in the class. And I've gone back to the guys, the presenters there, and said they definitely cover it. So maybe the guys just weren't listening. I don't know. What on earth for? No, sorry, guys. No. All right, I'll put it another way, Jethro. You want to learn how to drive a car? I've got a good idea. Best way to do it is I'll hand you the keys to my car, you go driving. Best way to learn, eh? No, you make, yeah, I know, but I mean, you've got to have some basics. Don't say you've got to read every single book on the subject. You get a 4-year study degree on it, but you've got to know basics before you come here, or you won't know what the hell's going on. If you come here with some have heard of something called stock markets the other day, and you come in here, you won't have a bloody clue what's going on. Plus, the thing you got to know is how to operate that platform. That's another one. If you can't operate the platform, you're wasting your time if you can't place an order, because we won't do it for you. You've got to place the order. You already have a signal. You know how to place the order. You don't have to work out the volumes. You don't know squat, you don't modify or anything. Well, clearly, there's no point coming to trading room because we assume you know that. We're here to advise and help when you've got the basics to become more practical. Because we don't want to fill you too full of theory. It's just say, once you've got the basics, come here, and then we'll do things which DXY and the yields and things like that. I don't think it's discussed so much. I'm not sure in the classes. So we'll go into all that, and then we can put it all together and do a practical aspect and work like a family together or a team together. But if you're told to come in here straight away, you're going to get a bit bamboozled. I think that's a correct statement, Jethro. What about you, Vedna? When you say coming straight in here, trading room, you think, what the hell is this guy on about? What do you mean micros? What do you mean lot sizes? What do you mean standard lots? What do you mean by a share and exposure? What do you mean by this thing called leverage? What's this mean? You'll be completely overpowered. He's frightened. You've got it. And you've got to understand the typos of Vedna. Just teasing, I do it all the time. One finger goes a little bit slow in my mind, so I do typos all the time, so I'm laughing with you there. And you've got to interact as well, like Vedna does, like Marie, like the other guys do. You know, go ask. I think a lot of people say like the downloading. If I attend the class, therefore I've done it, so therefore I've known. It's not downloading, you know, you've got to go interact if you're not sure. I remember I've done this so many times and I tend to go a bit quickly. I try not to, and then, you know, slow it down or whatever. And you know me, I'm happy to explain something if you're not sure. If you don't ask, you don't understand, well, not much I can do.
Roger, may I add something, please?
Go for it.
I started the college, and while I was attending classes, CFD classes, I was fiddling around with the charts to see what is the inserts, what is the tools and stuff like that. But I must say, as soon as I finished the classes and I started coming to the trading room, I learned more by being practical. If you just do theory all the time, and you don't really know, yeah, it's shown to you and you understand at that moment. But the moment you sit behind your screen and you look at your own chart, you think, what must I do now? And in my personal opinion, you really have to sometimes in the beginning go back, and come back to the trading room, and then you say, that's what it is. Like spreads. I actually only learned this morning what spreads are and why you. So you can go back again. We actually printed all the classes. We've got it on paper. We printed, and I can go back and I can have a look at it and say, oh, that's why. And then I realize why are you doing something on in this forum. So for people who just in here, they must be very confused at some time. That's why I think yes, maybe a lot of people can't pay the money to go to the college, or they don't have the time. But it's really something that it's there just to help you. If you go back, if you just not understand something, you go back, and coming back to the trading room, you say, aha, that's why, that's how. And that I learn something every day. And I really thank you. It's very good. Thanks.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. I've met you, but I've sort of got a feeling that a couple of times you've been on here that you've got a PhD in common sense. And I often say, forget getting your PhD in the mating habits of the cockroach in southern Mongolia. It's all very nice, but I'd rather you got your PhD in common sense. I can't say with one word, never mind sense, I disagree on that. Absolutely. But the thing is, again, you've got the attitude to know that if you want some, you've got to put some effort in. You print it out, you refer back to it, etc. You're not sure, you go back. Now, because I'm doing all the time, I forget some people don't know what the spreads are. So, and then you suddenly find someone who's been trading a while, never really occurred to them, they come up. Well, that's great when you do that. That's why it's so important that people do interact. Because some guys haven't got the nerve, or they don't think, probably a stupid question, I don't want them to laugh at me. And in the end, I'd rather you laugh at me and I learn and make a buck than I'm losing right all the time, because but I'm sorry, why are you going to laugh at me? And I don't think we will anyway. I mean, if I might laugh at you, so I've got 100 Rand in my account, I want to make 10 grand a month. I might laugh at you then, because that's blatantly ridiculous. But I mean, otherwise, just a bit of common sense will help. We call it the market maker spread, just to clarify to some. And that's why we have tightening or widening of the spreads. Because you get in on this one, you get out of that. So if you click the button now on a particular instrument, you'll see a minus sign come up, because you get in on that, you get out on that on the long, and you get in on this, and you get out that on the short. So if you're going short on this one, you're getting at 14, but now you're 5 pips down, you're 5 cents down. That's got to come down to 14 to break even. So if you're in the spreads account, once you see the blue, your costs are basically covered, and that blue is yours. In the commission account, you've got to then take into account there's a commission involved. So you've got to make sure you overcome the commission. So if you made commission is 10 units and you made 8 units profit, you're going to obviously end up losing 2 because of that reason. Okay, so that's why there's a big difference in a balance sheet between turnover and profit. Turnover's $1 million, but your profit might only be 100,000 or something. You get the idea. Okay, so that's the spread and the widening. Now, the tightening or widening spread occurs for a few reasons. It's got to be beneficial to the company. It's got to think from the company's point of view as well as the client. Client's got to think of the company's point of view, and the company's got to think of the client's point of view. But in fact, both points of view. Now, you go to a very, very large company in the United States who's got books running to $1 billion or more. They can have tight spreads because it's economy of scale. When you've got small economies with a large amount of people with, all due respect, very small accounts, then to make it worthwhile, you've got to widen the spreads. That's why you'll have a smaller markup on Pick and Pay than the little 24/7 cafe next door. Common sense. And people say, these spreads are too wide. They've got 5 grand in their account and I want one-to-one Zooms. Don't be rude, but the time I've spent with them would not cover the brokerage we can get off them. It wouldn't be worth the while. You know what I'm saying? So, but then they get all hurt. But it shouldn't think, I shouldn't have to say it, should be common sense. Nobody's going to leave Joburg to go to Bloemfontein, stay the night there, pick up a package, come all the way back, all the drive and the petrol for 500 rand, because it wouldn't cover their costs. And you've got to think about that. If I get my time and divide it up, my money into my time per hour, and I spend an hour on a person's Zoom with that kind of account, it's going to cost us more money than the profit from the client. It's got to be, it's common sense. You go to put 100 rand in the bank, you get in a queue. You want to put in 10 million, you go straight to the manager. It's common sense. So often you'll say worked out on that basis. But as I say, we are working on it for various, bit more to it than that, to be honest. I don't want to go more deeply, but hopefully that will be sorted for you guys. But in the meantime, that's the way it is.
Thank you, Roger. And I also want to say, sometimes people or young traders might think what they ask is stupid or silly, and others may laugh, but luckily we can't hear them laughing. So just go ahead and ask the question, even if it's silly.
That's a very good point, because everyone else is muted or whatever, or I've muted you all, so they might be giggling away. But I'll tell you something on that. The guy that asked that question usually end up knowing more than the guys who are giggling away. I get a lot of guys complaining like mad to me on something. No, you can't tell about trading. I know trading. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, the questions they ask clearly means they do not know about trading. You know what I'm saying? Or they wouldn't be asking these questions. I mean, a guy gave me quite a bit of stick because he was nowhere near his stop and he was kicked out. And I said, you're in 5 micros on the Nasdaq with a £500 account. Your stop was 100 pips away and your margin call at 50. Just don't tell me about trading. You scammed. You took that money off me. Well, I'm not quite sure what to say to that, because it's like me saying to Jethro, who's a doctor. And I said, you know what you're talking about, Jethro? Don't tell me about medicine. I've done my 3-day course. I know about medicine. Jethro might be polite, but he's not what he's going to be. He's thinking, Roger, you're a bloody idiot. Well, clearly, a doctor in a 3-day medical aid course is slight differential. And often, if the guys with smaller accounts, or less the knowledge, who think they know more, are the ones who used to give us kick up more. I find the guys with bigger accounts who know more, often, actually, funny enough, the more humble and understanding of it. Very rarely I get a guy with 100 grand or more gives me stick. It's the guys who've got squat usually make the most noise. It seems to be the way it is. Yeah, okay. Now, Masego, yeah, shares are different. Shares, you got the spread and the com. The com is 0.04% round trip, or 0.02% in. 0.2% in, 0.2% out, or 0.4% round trip. Plus there's a spread, yeah. No, you will not get every trade, Jethro. Once, I tell you what will happen, Jethro, or anybody out there. Once you get somebody out there and get in the trade right, it will be seen, because you'll see that. It's like a counter in the casino. They get to know. So the immediately they spot it and he's hoyed out. So Jethro's now going under the name of George. But it'll come up. The market makes all this information is recorded. Every time you move your stop, everything. Every single thing, you open your account, you open the computer, you go in, you go out. You can't fool us. All of it is there, because we've got all these terabytes and petabytes and God knows zettabytes or whatever. It's all there. So once we see that Jethro, he can call himself George, Bill, Mary, Sue, it doesn't matter. Every time he wins the trade, then nobody will sell anything to him. Let's say we're going long, no matter the short part. Just pretend you're going long. Every time I want to buy something, no one's going to sell it to you. Because, Jethro's got 100% right. So it's going to go up, so I'm going to hang on. I was about to sell my bread, but now I'm not going to, because Jethro, under the USP number 123, call himself Mary now, it's putting up for a buy order there. So clearly it's going to go up. He's 100% right. The market would not exist. It would be killed. It would be different. That's why if you come across some fancy robot, the last thing you do is advertise on YouTube or everywhere else. You're going to quieten the background, get some people you trust with different names, different USPs to get the thing out there to do it for you. So why are they doing that? Because clearly they're making more money out of selling you the product than actually getting the benefit themselves. I mean, if I come across something like that, I can tell you guys about it. I'm going to quietly go off and sit there. I use the bar, I'm in the caravan where I'll go, and quietly do it. I'm the auspice of getting some sophisticated IT guy to sell me different VPNs and God knows what, so I can manufacture those things, and I'll be living the life of Riley. Clearly, I'm certainly not discounting the market and spread it around, because all you can dilute it, you know. It's just common sense again. People forget that, because all of them, I tell you what, it's quite normal, are looking for the effortless buck, the easy buck, the no-brainer buck, you know what I mean? Something for nothing buckaroo. And whilst we have that attitude, we're going to get played. And so on the final moment before we go into 11 o'clock close off, I'm a Stock Quick Trade. That's a broker. Nothing to do with Stock Market College. So guys, what any hassle in the Stock Market College, do come to me. I will point them in the right direction, but it's not for me to go into that. It's a completely separate company. And a lot of guys say, I want to go and do another broker or whatever. I'd rather you didn't. It's up to you. I can't put a guy and say, you've got to go to Liberty Life. You have to. If you buy this off me, you go to Liberty. No, you can go Old Mutual if you want. It's up to you. But I'm saying up front with you, I'm trading support. I'm qualified to give advice. I'm registered to the FSCA to do just that. The account manager is there to help you, sell you, not to sell you, but help you intermediate areas, but they're not allowed to give advice. So build up relationship with pleasure, but they're pretty good. I think they are. Anyway, certainly I've seen quite a lot, seen nice guys or whatever. That's their function. But my function is advice, etc. I'm the one qualified person at the moment, so I've got quite a few guys. So I can't go in and help me place a trade or help me move my stop loss. No, that's the sort of thing you've got to be able to do, and then I can give you the signals, the advice, and assistance but the basics, you've got to learn those first. We can't spend the next half hour each client trying to help them to place a trade or how to help them modify or how do they exit. That stuff has got to be ascertained before this trade. And then, as we pointed out by Anne-Marie, there's too many guys trying to cut out paying for knowledge. So they come in, put a few bucks in their account, start trading blind, it'll come back and bite. Or they say, I've just put some money in, I want you to show me how to trade. Well, yeah, I'll do that with pleasure. Pay me $3,000 Rand an hour and I'll do that. Oh, but, you get my point. You've got to think of what from the other point of view, not just your own. And then it makes more common sense. Okay, all right. And just as what Anne-Marie said there, because I'm not buttering up, I mean that entirely. If more people had that kind of common sense, it would be a far more nicer world, to be honest. Yeah, it's just that people are not employing it and getting them tangled and think everyone's against them. No, they're not. They're not thinking. Okay, so I hope that's all clear. We're on your side. I might be straight from the hip talker, but hopefully you prefer that. Some mealy mouth sort of politeness that actually has got no substance to it. I'm there to try and help. It has to be harsh at times to get you on the right track. Okay, right, guys. Those who can make it, see you at 4 o'clock this afternoon and see if we can find something later on. Been quiet for a trade today because all the fun is coming out. Most will be sorted by then and hope we can get something going by then. Okay, fantastic, guys. And yeah, catch you then. Cheers. Thank you. Oh, office party, fair enough. Good for you. Now, don't get too drunk and tell the boss he's an arsehole now, Brady. You'll be in big trouble. Cheers, guys.